Hello guys and welcome to the Dojo. This is going to be an example video for our last video where we talked about how to do Scrim VOD reviews with your team. So this is going to be a little bit different compared to other videos that we have. This is going to be a live one, uncut basically, and I just want to show you how to do these reviews together with your team. As we discussed, you want to pick a video which is good for review. What is good for a review? Things that you don't understand, things that frustrate you, and things where the match was close but you still don't understand what went wrong together. And it's better to do it with the whole team because the whole team is benefiting from the reviews, and the more people there, the more people will be able to spot mistakes and to discuss it and to come up with ideas. So you don't have to be a high-level player to be able to do this. Mistakes are being made and mistakes are going to be spotted by different people, and then you can come up with a discussion, you can do some research by yourselves and maybe discuss it on Discords and stuff like that. So let's get to the game. What we have here is a view from a tank player, and this is a team mostly from the Dojo incubator, and they are going to be playing Control. They're going to be playing Nepal Shrine in this video. So we don't want to go in depth, we just want to show you how to analyze a scrim together and what to pay attention to, what exactly pay attention to, because watching the previous educational video is one thing, but actually seeing it in action is a different one. So first of all, let's talk about the different phases. As we were discussing in the previous video, you want to pay attention to different phases of team fights because that's how you can tell when and what is going wrong. So first of all, we are going to see a regroup phase. In the first attack, it's not that important, so we can kind of skip it, but it's going to be relevant in the next team fights. And then poke phase, if there are any poke being done, the actual team fight, and then the cleanup. So these are the things that you want to pay attention to as a team. So let's just go to the beginning and see how the team moves towards the point. So they have a Doomfist, they have a Widowmaker, they have a Lucio, Moira for the support, Zarya, and the Reinhardt for the tanks. This is important. Let's see how they use them. Okay, a slight mistake here, right in the beginning. So paying attention to how you move is important because it can help if you know that you are going in together. It can help if you are sure that the players are around, and if you know who is going to be behind you, who is going to be around you. So right now we see that the Lucio is not really doing his job. When you are running a comp with Reinhardt in the current meta, it's really important for the Lucio to be around the team because it can make a difference. It can make a difference because you are going to be able to get to the point more quickly than the enemy if you have a Lucio, or at least at the same rate as the enemy team if the enemy team has a Lucio. So Lucio should be escorting, the rest of the team should be around here, not really bouncing in front of the shield, but escorting most of the team. And it's also kind of the same with Doomfist. You're giving away a bit of information for the enemy team if they see the Doomfist first. Doomfist won't really be able to go in, and if there is a lucky shot from the enemy team, it can be hard to deal with as a single Doomfist in the front line. Of course, the Zarya can shield you, of course, the Moira can launch an orb and heal, but those are wasted resources. Those are resources that you want to keep. So pay attention to your formations, try to keep the formation and try to have a formation when you're going towards the objective. Make sure everyone is protected, make sure everyone is doing his job. So what we are looking for here is information, because we don't really know anything about the enemy team, we don't really know what they bring to the table, and we want to figure that out as a team. So let's try to listen to the calls.
Brave, you left the run behind.
Yeah, Brave, come back. We're going too far. Remember, they will punish. All right, they're running goats.
Okay, so the enemy team is already visible for like 5 or more seconds, And now the backline just being informed that the enemy team is running goats. Not ideal. Not ideal because you are going to have a hard time against the sustain of the goats anyways. You want to know about it. You want to know about it because you want to start focusing the right targets. Okay, so what is going on here? Let's try to look at the action.
Remember, they will punish.
Doomfist goes in. That is fishy. That is fishy because there's no protection there. The rest of the team is still way behind. Line of sights are not granted behind this pillar, so right now they might be able to do and heal the Doomfist, but as they don't have an Ana to heal at range, the only reliable source of healing now is the Moira's Orb, which is not there currently. So this is not an ideal position for the Doomfist. This is exposing the Doomfist in ways that's not necessary. Even if the Doomfist gets a pick here, if the team loses the DPS, the main DPS, because the Widow is not going to be able to do much, it's going to be hard for them to do anything meaningful in this team fight. So paying attention to how you position yourself as a DPS and how you rotate around as a support to be still protected by your tank and reach the greedy DPS. These are the things that you want to pay attention to. So now the team fight begins. Again, let's try to listen to the comms. We are looking for shot calls.
Alright, they're running goats. They're running goats. I'm pinned. Ryan's low, Ryan's low. I'm charging in.
Okay, so not a lot of shot calling, which is an issue here because you want to grind one after the other. You want to go in, you want to eliminate instead of just doing random damage to the enemy team because they have great sustain. And against a team which has great sustain, you can't just do random damage because you are going to be out sustained. You are going to be punished for it. So there are tiny pieces of information, which is fine, but they are not being used.
Ryan's low, Ryan's low. I'm charging in.
Players are just calling their ability usages, kind of, and they are also calling some minor informations, like one of the target is low, but you want to be able to focus it. You want to be able to go on that target. And that's why it's not enough to just call that they are low. You want to call it that where they are. So position is also important with the calls, and also other things like the fade is down for a Moira, because you want to focus on Moira where you know that she can't get away. If you know that she has a fade for a fact, it's not a good idea to go for it. Okay, so what are we trying to pay attention to? Is there a clear focus? Not really. Do players know how to approach the fight? Kinda, but that may be a no, because the Doomfist just died going in greedy, and there is just random damage being done to the enemy team. Okay, are combos and synergies working? So let's pay attention to that. Go back, pay attention to what is going on. Of course, watching the kill feed can give away a lot of information, and you can just deduct what is going on from the kill feed. Of course, kills and deaths are the most important, but you also want to pay attention to a lot of other things. So again, we are paying attention to the combos and synergies, like Reinhardt and Zarya, how the bubbles are done. Is the charge being called in time? Yeah, it's kinda. There was the bubble at the end of the charge, so that's working in this scenario at least. That's also a good call on the Rhine. And it's important to notice that the team is able to get the point, so they were able to push the enemies back, which is nice, because the team fight is going to be prolonged here, and getting a cap is important. Okay, so I heard the enemy ult. Yeah, the enemy Reinhardt is wasting the ult, and I don't think that it's being called. That again.
Nice. Even.
Push him.
Not really. The rest of the team doesn't really know what's going on. They might be able to hear it, but making sure that everyone knows that the Reinhardt is off the table and that your main tank registers that the enemy Reinhardt is off the table, it's important. So calling the enemy ult usage can be must in a lot of situations.
Zarya behind.
Okay, so sustain is nice, was nice until this point. And we can't really see what's going on. We can see that there are no picks. There are not a lot of picks. Only the 2 initial picks. So the Widow is not really doing too much.
Push him.
Might have been a good idea to switch the Widow right in the beginning
Zarya behind.
to better DPS against the GOAT.
Okay, just let
Ults are not being called. Ult usages are not being called. We could see that the Moira was just launching the ult, which can be fine. Moira is able to farm the ult really quickly, but you want to at least make sure that it is being used in the right time. Reinhardt was being used in a spot where the enemy, where the allied team wasn't able to really follow it up, and it went into the enemy shield. And there's not a lot of attention being paid to what the enemy has. They are doing a lot of damage. They already farmed the Zarya grab, and that's the read from this team fight. So there's no cleanup here. Only the Moira is alive. Let's see what happens with the Moira. She's not contesting the point, and now she is sacrificing herself to the Blood God. Okay, so this is a slight stagger. I can imagine that it took some time for the Moira to get from the point to the abyss, which is fine. The important thing is to try to minimize these staggering times. If there's a 5k, there is really no reason to stay there, unless you can stagger effectively and with a low HP hero. Okay, so that was the first team fight. Now we are back to the regroup phase. How quickly you come together is important, so this is why the staggering is vital, paying attention to that. Let's pay attention to how the players are positioning. Are they feeding? Are they eating poke? And what they are talking about.
Okay, we ready to go in? All right, let's go.
Give me the word, Megan.
Let's go.
Go. Alright.
Okay, so not a lot of discussion, only calls to go in and when to go in. They were grouped up. Someone is missing from here, so that's not ideal.
Let's go.
The Lucio boost is coming here, which doesn't give a lot of value for the team. Could have been used for healing instead. A lot of damage being done to the Reinhardt, and the Reinhardt goes down. So why is that?
Okay, we ready to go in? All right, let's go.
So poke is not really relevant, so we are not paying a lot of attention to that. Most of the damage being shielded in the beginning, and the Reinhardt goes in. Maybe just stabs a bit too deep in the enemy territory. The enemy is spread, there's no clear focus, and you don't want to risk losing the line of sight, and you of course don't want to risk being stunned by the enemies. Yeah, so that was a stun lock Reinhardt going down, which makes it really hard to push in for the team. And now with a 2 advantage, the enemy can just clean up, so you should just die quickly. You shouldn't boost into the enemy team like that. That might have been because the team wasn't calling that the enemies are pushing forward. Yeah, that's what he said. Again, information is vital. You don't want to feed all of the HP of the Reinhardt to the enemy team like that. They are going to have an advantage because they won the team fight. They didn't really use a lot of ults. And then you are feeding the Reinhardt because of the lack of information. You want to avoid these kind of things. Okay, let's talk about formations, strategies. So let's say pushing in the mid is a strategy called A. Now they can decide what they want, maybe going top, going from the bottom. Labeling these and discussing these with a team, what to do with a specific comp can be important because it saves you time. So if you are using your time for VOD review sessions, it's also good to use your time for strategy sessions and to discuss what to do, when to do, and how to execute, what to pay attention to, who to kill. Like there's the strategy A, we go in front, and if they run goats, then AA, if they run 2-2-2, then AB, whatever. You can use different systems like colors or animals or stuff like that, what works for you. But the important thing is that you have a clear goal, you have a clear execution flow. Unless you have that, it's going to be hard to deal with the enemy team. It's going to be coming down to how you can react to a situation which is unreliable, and you want to avoid that.
They know we're here. Get this Ryan, get this Ryan, get this Ryan.
Okay, so pushing in, someone is left behind just a little bit. There's no clear focus again.
Grab it.
There's a kill by the Doom, then 2 by the enemy's area. Teamfight is can go both ways, but again, the issue here is the sustain of the enemy team. They can just stay on the point and they enjoy prolonged fights because they thrive in it. Okay, so that's what we had for you. That was the example that we wanted to give you to make sure that you get the tips in the previous video and also to make them clear to what to pay attention to. So we really hope that you liked this video, and if you did, then please subscribe to the dojo, enabling the notification bell. And if you have any questions, just make sure to post them in a comment below. We are listening and we are always answering them. And if you want to join the dojo's community, then you can use the links below to join our Discord. And thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one.